Today we're going to begin Chapter 4. Our objectives for today are to identify the body's four basic types of tissues, describe the characteristics and functions of epithelial tissue, and describe the relationship between form and function of each type of epithelium. In this chart, we see a beautiful overview of the whole chapter. Cells combine to form tissues. Tissues combine to form organs. Organs interact in organ systems, and that will be covered in chapters 5 through 20. The tissues are one, epithelial tissue, and the basic functions are to cover the exposed surfaces, line the internal passageways, and produce glandular secretions. 2, connective tissue, and it fills internal spaces, provides structural support, and stores energy. 3, muscle tissue, and it contracts to produce active movement. And 4, neural tissue, and that conducts electrical impulses to carry information. Epithelial tissues has 4 basic functions. It covers the body surfaces, it lines cavities, it lines tubular structures, and it serves essential functions. The characteristics of epithelial tissue is cellularity or cell junctions, polarity, which are the apical and basal surfaces, attachment, avascularity, and regeneration. The basic functions, again, is to provide protection, control permeability, provide sensation, and then produce specialized secretions. This would be called glandular epithelial, and there's endocrine and exocrine glands. There are 3 common cell junctions. There are tight junctions, gap junctions, and desmosomes to form bonds with other cells or extracellular material. This illustrates a spot desmosome, a tight junction, and a gap junction, and we talked about this in class. Now, the apical surface is the exposed surface. The basal surface is connected to the deeper tissue, or the basement membrane. This is an illustration showing you the apical surface, or the top, and then the basement surface connecting to the deeper tissue, or the bottom. Now, one of the things that makes epithelial unique is it's able to be renewed and repaired, and it's replaced by mitosis, and that occurs near the basement membrane. We talked about that in last chapter. Classification of epithelia is next, and this combines cell shape, that's the first section, and then with the number of layers, that's the second section. For example, simple means one layer, cuboidal means square shaped, and we're going to go over that in the next few slides. So the classification is based on layers. Simple means a single layer of cells, or stratified means several layers of cells. And then shape, which is squamous, is thin and flat. Cuboidal is square shaped, and columnar are tall, slender rectangles. Now we can combine those together like we did in the previous slide. And if you look at this image, that shows exactly that. We have simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, and we can compare and contrast that with stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, stratified columnar. Now we're going to see the locations and the examples of where these tissues are. Simple squamous is located, for example, in the kidney tubules, the blood vessels, and the basic function is to reduce friction and control permeability and absorption. This shows you simple cuboidal, and again, it's in the kidneys. This shows you simple columnar, and this is going to be in the stomach, intestine, gallbladder, uterine tubes. Now we go to stratified squamous, and this is located in the skin, the lining of the mouth, the throat, the esophagus, the rectum, and anus, and vagina. This is the pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium, and you're able to see that is going to be located in the trachea, the bronchi, and portions of the male reproductive system. Now we we continue to go on to transitional epithelium, and you can see the urinary bladder, the renal pelvis. Now we're going to the final type of epithelial. This is glandular epithelial, and there's endocrine glands, and those are the glands that produce hormones or release hormones in the body, and exocrine glands, and they produce secretions, and they do it through ducts. Merocrine secretions and is the first one, and that's produced in the Golgi apparatus, and the example would be the sweat glands. Sweat glands are an example of a merocrine secretion. Apocrine secretion is the example is the mammary glands. That would be the breast milk. Halocrine secretions are released by the cells bursting or killing gland cells. These include the sebaceous glands, which are the oil glands. And this shows you an image of where these are located. And the last glands are the serous glands, and that's your watery secretion from your nose. Sometimes we call it snot. I hate to be gross like that. And then mucus glands, and they secrete mucins, and that would be your production of boogers and things like that. And then there's mixed exocrine gland secretion, which is both serous and mucus. And this gives you a table that describes all the secretion types, their description, and their examples.